This is a matter that lies solely with the court and within the limits prescribed by law. The subject of penalty or punishment must not in any way affect your decision as to whether or not the state has proven the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you willing to follow this instruction? If so, please raise your hand. All hands are raised. Under our system of justice, the jury must decide the case solely on the evidence produced in court and the law that the judge instructs, and not because of bias, passion, prejudice, or sympathy. Would you be able to follow this principle of law? If so, please raise your hand. All hands are raised. There will be police officers who will testify in this case, as well as other witnesses. I'm going to give you some guidelines in determining whether a witness is believable or not believable. It's basically a matter of common sense, but things to look at are: how did the witness appear? Did he or she seem honest and sincere? Will the witness gain or lose if the case is decided a certain way? Was the witness's testimony consistent with other evidence in the case? What is the witness's relationship to the parties? Would you be able to use these guidelines in deciding the credibility of a police officer just as you would any other witness? If so, please raise your hand. All hands are raised. Is there anyone here who would believe the testimony of a police officer just because he or she is in law enforcement? No hands are raised. Is there anyone here who would totally discount the testimony of a police officer just because of his or her position? No hands are raised. Okay. All right, one thing I want to say, members of the panel, is I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for responding to your jury summonses. By showing up today and proving your willingness to serve, you are our heroes. Our criminal justice system could not work without good citizens like you. Not all of us can serve in the military, but what we can do is do our civic duty and serve as jurors. And I know these are difficult times, but doing our duty in difficult times is the American way. A heartfelt thanks to all of you for appearing today. All right. You were given a list of possible witnesses earlier. They may not all testify. Do any of you know any of the witnesses on the list? I want you to raise your hand even if you're not sure. Okay, no hands are raised. Do any of you have any trouble hearing or understanding what I am saying? Please raise your hand. No hands are raised. Okay, we will start with opening statements after the jury is selected. We'll start with opening statements by December 8th, and we expect to be finished by no later than Christmas Eve. That is our best estimate. Don't be concerned if we don't finish by Christmas Eve. I intend to take Christmas Eve and that weekend off and start again on December 27 if we are not done. So I wanted to give you that so you wouldn't be concerned that you would miss Christmas and Christmas Eve with your families. Typically, the trial will be conducted from 9 to 4:30, going as late as 5 o'clock. There'll be a 20-minute break in the morning at approximately 10:30 and a 20-minute break in the afternoon. We'll take lunch from 12:30 to 1:30. Please remember, while court is in recess, that you're not to talk to anyone involved in this case, nor should you discuss the case among yourselves. During the recess, you may see the attorneys or parties in the hallways. Don't take offense if they don't stop to say hello or talk to you. Everyone involved in this case has been ordered to have no contact or communication with any member of the jury panel. Any violation of that rule could jeopardize the trial, and this prohibition will continue until a verdict is rendered. Okay, at this point, members of the panel, I'm going to excuse everyone except for panel member number 2. So please follow the deputy to your waiting area. Okay. Juror number 2, will you please take the witness stand? And you may remove your mask.
Yes, be seated.
Yes, and be seated. Thank you. Okay, thank you for doing the jury questionnaire, by the way. I know it was pretty lengthy, and you did indicate a number of things in your answers. You've heard and seen things on the media, and you, at this point, have indicated that you are neutral. Your general impression of both the defendant and Mr. Wright is neutral.
Yes.
Okay. You also indicated that you couldn't understand why an officer would attempt to disable the driver of a moving vehicle which could potentially injure others. Of course, you always have questions, and that's a legitimate question. But can you listen to the evidence and decide the case solely on the evidence and not on any questions that you may have in your mind?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think you can be a fair and impartial juror on this case?
Yes.
Okay. Could you tell me a little bit about why you believe that Blue Lives Matter is, your impression, is very unfavorable?
I think the exclamation "Blue Lives Matter" is less in support of the police rather than is a counter cry against Black Lives Matter, and so that's why I believe that it's not a fair representation. It's not meant to be in support of the police officers, and I think one of the reasons that it stated isn't in support of the police because nobody was attacking the police. But with Black Lives Matter, it's an expression that Black Lives Matter too. So.
Okay, thank you very much. I like your answers to the principles of law, the presumption of innocence. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So you've never served as a juror before?
No, this is my first time.
Okay. Well, I'm really happy to see that you've always wanted to serve. I can tell you that I talk to juries all the time after they render their verdicts, and even though many of them did not want to do jury duty, they've all told me afterwards that they were really glad they had the chance to serve as a juror, and they stepped away with a renewed respect for our system of justice. So I'm happy to see that you are willing and looking forward to serving. Well, juror number 2, thank you very much. That's all the questions I have. And the defense may proceed first. Hello, juror number 4. Please have a seat. And you may remove your mask. Okay, juror number 4. One of the answers to the questions that you had on your questionnaire was that you had a very negative impression of the defendant, Kimberly Potter, and that you felt that she should have known the difference between her gun and her taser gun. And then you also indicated that you were neutral with respect to Dante Wright, that he was a father to a beautiful baby boy, and it's sad he left too soon. I guess my question is this. Under our system of justice, you are supposed to decide the case based solely on the evidence presented in court and on the law that I instruct you on. And bias, prejudice, or sympathy can't go into your decision as to whether or not the defendant or the state has proven the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you going to be able to do that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Your answer to question number 9, you indicated, I feel my community has been impacted negatively with all the looting going on and burning buildings. What were you referring to with respect to that? Was this after the Floyd case?
Yes, it was after I found out about the case. There was another. I lived in the Brooklyn Center area.
Could you speak into the mic?
Oh. I lived in the Brooklyn Center area at the time, and there happened to be another looting around the area that I stayed in, which was towards the case that you guys have now, and it was about the Black Lives Matter case as well. They related to that, so.
Okay. So you were living in Brooklyn Center at the time?
Yes.
Do you still live there?
No, not anymore.
Okay. And did you move because of the demonstrations?
I didn't move because of that. I just moved because of change of jobs.
Okay.